The origins of Christmas and its customs is the most pagan inspired of all Christian holidays. Its dating derives from the ancient Roman festival Saturnalia, which was determined by the winter solstice, the astronomical point in the year after which the periods of sunlight on Earth lengthen. Most of the popular symbols surrounding Christmas, evergreen trees, and other greenery, mistletoe, holly, the Yule log, candles, bonfires, and holiday lights, mystical spirits with the ability to fly and to enter and leave a house through a chimney, tricksters who treat or taunt little children, not to mention those elves, all derive from older pre-Christian Europe. So what does the Bible state about Christmas? The Bible does not say anything about Christmas. The Bible states we must not adapt pagan customs in our worship. It is impossible to honor God through disobeying him. Now, in Deuteronomy 12:30-32, the Lord states, "Take heed to yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, 'How did these nations serve their gods? I also will likewise.' You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way, for every abomination to the Lord which he hates, they have done to their gods. For they burn even their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods in the name of tradition. So, whatever I command you, be careful to observe it. You shall not add to it nor take away from it." That is in Deuteronomy 32. So, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and keep his statutes and his judgments and not add to it or take away from it. If you don't believe in following Roman Catholic traditions, then why are you keeping this one? The line of reasoning that since we don't know the date of Christ's birth, we can just pick one to celebrate is an interesting one. You have instead embraced one that the early Catholic theologians chose for you when they decided to relabel an idolatrous pagan celebration as Christian, specifically to swell the ranks of the Catholic Church. The truth about the origins of Christmas is simple. One of the ancient world's most popular celebrations, a festival that originated in sun worship and honoring pagan gods, was relabeled and reborn as traditional Christianity, most popular celebration. But as I said earlier, the Bible condemns such Christianizing of pagan worship customs. So those misguided church leaders were acting contrary to the Bible in what they did. And if we persist in the practice, then we are in the wrong as well, guys. Some think we can conquer pagan holidays for Christ. But did God allow the Israelites to conquer pagan temples and use them to worship him? No, he didn't. God told them to eradicate all things of pagan worship from their midst. That's Deuteronomy 12:1-4. Christmas was outlawed and illegal in the United States until 1836. Deuteronomy 12:1-4. These are the statutes and judgments which you shall be careful to observe in the land which the Lord your God of your fathers has given you to possess. All the days that you live on the earth, you shall utterly destroy all the places where the nations which you shall dispossess serve their gods, on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every green tree. And you shall destroy their altars, break their sacred pillars, and burn their wooden images with fire. You shall cut down the carved images of their gods and destroy their names from that place. You shall not worship the Lord your God with such things, but you shall seek the place where the Lord your God chooses. So you guys, we shouldn't be worshiping the Lord in this way. It is a pagan holiday. The Bible doesn't tell us to celebrate it. I just recently stopped celebrating Christmas myself. And the reason for that is the extensive studying that I've been doing about traditions of men and how God tells us, come out of her, my people, and not to participate in the traditions of man, but to follow every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So are you following the Messiah or man and his traditions? You have to seriously ask yourself that. So I'm going to start celebrating God's feasts instead of man's feasts and man's holidays. Christmas is not in the Bible, but Passover is, unleavened bread, first fruits, Shabbat, trumpets, atonement, tabernacles, and the Sabbath, Saturday Sabbath. Now, Jesus told the Pharisees, talking about traditions, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? Thus have you made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition? Christmas is a tradition. And simply that's what it is. We have been programmed for so long to celebrate the traditions of men that it grieves us not to do it. I went through a period of mourning last year by not celebrating Christmas. I even feel pangs of it to this day. But the Lord is very specific when he tells us not to celebrate the traditions of men. So we have decisions to make. We can either keep our traditions and hold on tight to them and do what we want anyways and just say, oh, we'll just serve Jesus through this time of pagan worship. Or do we worship God the way he wants to be worshiped? The Lord says they worship me in vain. Their teachings are but rules taught by men. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to the traditions of men. Mark 7:7-8. He says we're worshiping him in vain when we take on the traditions of men. So truth or tradition, it's something that we seriously have to think about. Christmas was my favorite holiday. I was the queen of cooking presents. I would spend all my money and couldn't pay my mortgage or my rent a few weeks later in January, or I'm not even a few weeks later, a week later. I went into debt over Christmas every year, but I wanted to keep my tradition no matter what. So you have to beware of the traditions of man and follow Jesus Christ. Follow the commandments that are laid out in the Bible. Don't hold on to Christmas and all these other traditions of men just because we were programmed since birth to do it. God doesn't want us to follow after the ways of man. He wants us to follow after him. So just pray about it. I'm not here to judge you guys or condemn you because I was just doing this in 2017. But now I have changed. And my goal now is to celebrate the holy days and not the holidays. We need to always follow the traditions that God has handed down to us, the Lord and his apostles, and reject the traditions of men. Human tradition will make our worship vain. So we can't just say, I'll worship Jesus during this pagan holiday. I know how hard it is to give up Christmas. I gave it up. I gave up a lot for the Lord. And I'm not here judging you or trying to condemn you. I'm only making this video to awaken you to the truth. I know some people won't want to hear this, but the truth will always be the truth, and feelings really don't matter at this point. So if you hate me because of this video, then so be it. If it touches one person and they pray about it to God and they're awakened to the truth of Christmas, then my job is done for the Lord.